What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and today we are overthinking Chandra, Hope's Beacon. This is the latest addition in a wide swath of Chandra planeswalker cards. We've seen her, you know her, you love her, and in this case, we are looking at the one from March of the Machine, so this is upcoming, hasn't been printed yet. This is a preview that was given to us at MagicCon Philadelphia, and I gotta say, this card is pretty rad. Like, don't mean to bury the lead on this one. Or no, I don't mean to... Am I burying the lead? I'm not burying the lead. I'm doing the opposite of that. I'm leading off with, like, the final thesis. This card is phenomenal. Let's read why. So, it is a legendary planeswalker, Chandra, for 4 red. Yes, that is a 6-drop planeswalker, and I'm still calling it phenomenal. Because of this passive, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. That is a shockingly powerful effect that we've seen on some other cards in the past, but it's truly bananas. Now, the other thing that makes this so incredibly powerful is that it says the ability only triggers once each turn, not when you cast your first spell. Do this. The reason that's relevant is because if you blink Chandra Hope's Beacon on your turn and she comes back in, that's a fresh Chandra, meaning this will trigger an additional time because it's considered a new ability on a new planeswalker. That's insane. There is a way to go infinite with Displacer Kitten and this, and it's probably really easy, actually. Anyway, what's her loyalty abilities? +2. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Now her starting loyalty is 5, so that brings her brings her loyalty up to 7 already, and it refunds you 2 mana. That's wild. Then +1. Exile the top 5 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell from among those exiled cards. And then -X. Chandra Hope's Beacon deals X damage to each of up to 2 targets. My goodness, if you stick this and your opponent has 2 creatures, each with toughness 4, and those are the only creatures they have online, you can drop Chandra -4 and blast both of them. You not only have a 1 loyalty planeswalker, which your opponent might have an opportunity to deal with, but if they don't, you now have all of this crazy value online for next turn, and that's like the floor. That's the worst case for this card. What's going to happen far more often is you drop, you pay 6 mana, you drop Chandra Hope's Beacon, you uptick, +2, you get 2 mana back, and then you cast a removal spell or a bounce spell or some kind of, or like it's even something as simple as Thrill of Possibility, where you end up discarding 1 card and then draw 4 because it copies twice. Like, this is bananas. This card is so good. I love it. I think that it's absolutely incredible. I don't know what else to say. So, like I mentioned earlier, you also have the ability to blink Chandra, reset that trigger, and get it again, which is also just insane. And if you run out of gas, if you have no spells in hand, and you have some mana open, the +1, looking at 5 cards, and you may cast, any instant or sorcery spell from among the exiled cards. Like, that's also fantastic. So there will be games where you see your opponent drop Chandra Hope's Beacon, uptick, hit a removal spell, hit a Go for the Throat or something, blow you out because he kills 2 of your things. They now have a 7 loyalty planeswalker that if you don't kill is probably going to wreck you. Then they're going to go to their next turn, hit you with a double Invoke Despair and make you freaking cry. Like, this card is just nothing short of fantastic, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So for a 6-drop planeswalker to be good, it's got to be really stinking good, and I think they did exactly that here. Now, notably, it doesn't strictly protect itself in a traditional planeswalker fashion. Generally speaking, you want to see, removal, you want to see passive effects or token generation. Like, when we think about planeswalkers that protect themselves, a lot of the ones we think of are the ones that produce chump blockers that can help, minimize the ability for your opponent to attack into them. Now, in this case, Chandra does have that down tick, like I mentioned, the negative X, that can be used as removal. So that's not bad. I think the real benefit, though, on the turn that she drops is going to be that +2. You definitely want to have some kind of spell in your hand that can help protect her. Also of note, that ability doesn't only trigger on your turn. That's important. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So if you have a piece of removal in your hand, you can drop Chandra. If you have 2 pieces of removal in hand, let's just Magical Christmas Land, let's assume we've gotten it. You drop Chandra on 6, you've got like 1 extra mana open, you uptick, hit a go for the throat, blow out 2 things, cool. You pass your turn. Your opponent drops a hasty threat. You then play the Play with Fire that's in your hand, targeting that hasty threat. And if it has, 3 toughness, let's say it's a Reckless Stormseeker, for example, which is effectively a hasty 3/3. So they drop that. You can Play with Fire. It copies, and you now can kill it with a 1 mana spell. It's pretty rad. So yeah, this card is nothing short of fantastic. Being able to leverage instants on your opponent's turn is huge, and just doubling spells is a big frickin' deal. I don't know what else to say. Also, one thing that you may note, apparently if you look really closely at the art, Chandra here is crying, which is kind of an interesting, or was that in the showcase version? I think she has got tears running down her face, which is kind of an interesting nod to the fact that one of the other pieces of art that they've spoiled is during March of the Machine, apparently Chandra at some point faces off against Nissa, who has been completed. Now, if you're like me and you've only been following the story like kind of passively, you may not know Nissa and Chandra actually did have a romantic connection in past stories. So those two very much they were a thing. It was actually a whole the War of the Spark novel kind of tried to retcon it, and Wizards backpedaled after massive backlash against it. It was a weird time in the story, let me tell you what. But as far as apparently this set is concerned, and as far as like a lot of us fans are concerned, Chandra and Nissa were totally a romantic couple. That is what it is. You cannot tell us otherwise. And it looks like Chandra is not taking Nissa's completion very well, which is understandable. And I'm glad that they are hitting that beat with this character. I'm glad they're willing to go there and explore that relationship and at least show that there is some emotional fallout from that. I think that's really cool, and kudos to Wizards for at least touching on it, if it's not a full-on massive story beat. We haven't seen the stories yet as of this recording, so hopefully it is. I want to see that showdown. I want to see that showdown in the story articles. Like, Wizards, come on, make it happen. I have no doubt that the stories have already been at least outlined, if not fully written by now. But anyway, I can't wait. March of the Machine looks awesome. Some of these cards look absolutely bananas crazy, and I think we are going to see, like, power creep is going to continue. That's absolutely happening, and we're going to see these cards make waves, in Standard at least, in some really cool ways. And in Commander, good lord, like, the more doubling effects there are in Commander, the crazier board states are going to get faster. Like, it's really just that simple, which is fine by me. Like, Commander's a place where board states should get crazy, and I think Chandra Hope's Beacon is going to find her way onto a couple of those crazy board states. So I dig it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out this edition of the Overthinking MTG podcast, available on YouTube and anywhere fine podcasts are sold. I also stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/hamhocks42. I look forward to seeing you over there. And yeah, thank you so much. Stay good to each other, and I'll catch you on the next one.